Magick Potion is the debut full-length album from Magick Potion, a Baltimore, Maryland-based heavy psychedelic rock, or we could call them an acid rock band in terms of resembling a style of proto-heavy metal or 70s heavy rock that definitely took a lot of influence from the emergence of Jimi Hendrix and Cream and a lot of the stuff that followed after that point in terms of the psychedelic rock sound, in terms of the British tones taken from progressive rock, and the way that that informed a lot of American and British music around that time. I believe that they probably took their name from a Black Keys record. I just say that because it just seems in their wheelhouse. They've been heartily compared to Blue Cheer, but that only really makes sense for certain records. I'm an actual fan of Blue Cheer, and I think maybe Outside Inside is a close enough approximation of what they do on this record. There are more of the psychedelic rock jams that feel like they're chilling out far more than you would expect. This isn't quite a blues rock album. It's not quite a heavy psychedelic rock album proper, but it's kind of all of those things at once, built to their taste. And so they do a great job of it. I wouldn't say that this is necessarily as heavy as the first Budgie record, but it kind of fits in that mold a little bit. Now, most of my references are a little bit heavier, like Sir Lord Baltimore or Atomic Rooster's first record, Death Walks Behind You. Maybe that's a little bit heavier than you'd expect, but the guitar tone and the general production values of this record do make it like a pretty heavy rock record, and I think that that brings a lot of value to just making it more intense for a modern audience. They haven't really gone with it like full vintage, but their performances, the guitar tones, the vocal cadence, and everything about this record screams of a certain era that transitions from the '60s into the '70s, and it doesn't quite go for the cockier kind of '80s rock feeling like a lot of throwback bands do. It doesn't really go for the southern rock mode at all, but there is blues at the center, the psychedelic blues rock core of this thing that is especially effective on some of the bigger, heavier riff songs like Fever Dream or Never Change. So that Hendrix style slinging of these songs is definitely what's going to bring people in. When we get to like the stony side of things, maybe early Witchcraft and that kind of thing might give you some kind of reference. But we'll listen to a song here. We'll listen to one of these singles, and you'll get a sense for what I mean in terms of the Oaken classic sound of this band. Yet you're the one who thought of me and gave me birth. I'll be your lover till you're in the dark. Now, what I want to emphasize is that what you've heard is not necessarily the reason to come and show up for this record, because you're going to hear those couple of big heavy riff songs. You might hear Never Change and feel like, man, this record is going to be heavy. It's actually more meandering. It's more psychedelic than you'd expect. Like I said, there are jams here that are a little bit more spaced out and fuzzed. They never really delve into like guitar-driven experimentation full on, and most of this is vocally driven work. Again, it does resemble the '70s style of songwriting, and it's immersive in that sense. A lot of these songs are really building a vibe, and they're building a presentation that is quite different than what you'll expect from like maybe like an early Deep Purple kind of kinetic force that you might find on like a record like Book of Taliesin, where you get the first song that is kind of it's banging out front, but then they get into it later on and it becomes a different thing. So give it some time, let it show up and do its thing, and you're going to need some patience for this kind of music to breathe, but when they do let it go and they do let this record just kind of do its thing, it's one of the better records in the style this year. I describe this record as like your favorite shirt. It fits in all the right places, it feels good to put it on, and you just kind of prefer it over a lot of things for the time that it lasts. And so for me, this was just one of the better experiences I've had with psychedelic rock this year. I think it's a band that just are such a good study of this sound, both in terms of sound design, but more so songwriting. And I feel like there's an actual personality here that could expand, it could stay the same, and it would just be pristine in what it presents here. Do I think there's a big future of this band outside of this huge retro appeal? I don't think it matters. I think if they stuck in this mode forever, I would still show up for another like four of these. So for me, this is just what I was looking for. It's the perfect expression of this niche that I was looking for, and particularly great musicians behind it. A lot of praise. I did put this as a high recommendation. I think this is something that most of the general public will understand and get, but again, this is a retro niche that is getting more distant every year, and so I wanted to celebrate just how good these guys are at what they do and give that one a thumbs up. So that released on November 8th. Check it out yourself and go ahead and read my review to get more detail on my thoughts.